It was raining the night my life fell apart. The sound of raindrops hitting the window was heavy and endless, like the sky itself was crying for me. My stepmother's voice echoed through the hallway, cold and sharp. "Pack your things. You don't belong here anymore." Her words cut through the air, cruel and final. I stood there frozen, clutching the photograph of my father, the only man who ever made me feel seen, safe, loved. But he was gone now, and with him went every bit of protection I had left. The smell of wet earth filled the air as the door slammed behind me. My suitcase wasn't even full, just a few clothes, my diary, and the last piece of my broken heart. I heard them laughing inside. My stepbrother's mocking voice still rings in my ears. "Who's going to save you now, the worthless daughter?" That word, worthless, burned like fire under my skin. But as I walked down the driveway with rain pouring over me, I wasn't crying. Not yet, because deep down, I knew this wasn't the end of my story. It was the beginning. They had no idea that the same girl they threw out into the night would one day return, stronger, wiser, unstoppable. I grew up in a home that smelled like my father's morning coffee and my mother's jasmine perfume. Every morning, sunlight poured through tall windows and laughter filled the air. My mother's voice was warm, my father's love unwavering. But that peace didn't last. My mother passed away when I was 10, and our laughter died with her. My father tried to stay strong, but grief changed him. 2 years later, he remarried, a woman named Clara. She was beautiful, elegant, charming when my father was around, but her eyes were cold when no one was watching. She had a son, Ryan, and I tried to be kind to him. I shared my room, my books, my world. But kindness doesn't fix jealousy. Soon my toys disappeared, my clothes went missing, and lies replaced truth. She broke it. She skipped school. And my father, tired and blind with trust, believed her. The house that once felt safe started suffocating me. Then one day, my father was gone. A sudden heart attack, they said. I remember staring at his coffin, numb, while Clara held Ryan's hand and cried fake tears. After his death, everything shifted. My father's company, his savings, his house, all handled by Clara. She said she'd take care of things until I turned 21, but taking care meant taking everything. My school fees vanished, my bedroom was given to Ryan, and soon I became a guest in my own home. Still, I stayed silent, believing my father's love would protect me somehow. But that belief shattered the night Clara looked me in the eye and said, "You're just a reminder of a past I want to forget." That was when I realized family isn't always blood. Sometimes it's the people who hurt you and still call it love. I kept hoping things would get better, but betrayal became a habit in that house. My birthday came and went without a word. The same night, Clara hosted a dinner party for her rich friends. When I asked if we could light a candle for Dad, she smiled faintly and said, "We've all moved on." That sentence felt like a knife. I returned to my half-room quietly, surrounded by Ryan's things and emptiness. At school, he spread rumors about me being poor, pitied by his mother. The humiliation followed me everywhere. Then one day, I came home early and found Clara and Ryan in my father's study flipping through his old papers. When I confronted them, she said calmly, "Just sorting out what's ours." I shouted that those papers were my father's, his legacy, but she only smiled. "Your father trusted me with everything. Unfortunately for you, he didn't leave much proof otherwise." The next morning, all my belongings were packed into boxes at the door. "It's time you learned how to survive without privilege," she said, her tone smooth as poison. Ryan threw my old photo frame into the trash, laughing. As the door closed behind me, I felt my world collapse. But somewhere in the ruin, something inside me ignited. I whispered, "You can take what's mine, but you'll never take who I am." That was the day the fire began. The first night alone was the hardest. I sat on a park bench under a flickering streetlight, holding my small suitcase like it was my only friend. The rain had stopped, but my heart hadn't. My money was gone, my phone taken, my family turned to strangers. I felt invisible, but in that silence, I made a choice. I wouldn't break. I found a small women's hostel willing to let me stay for a week if I cleaned rooms. That night, lying on a thin mattress, I cried. Not because I was weak, but because I was free. I worked small jobs, washing dishes, organizing books, delivering flyers. Each day was a fight, each rupee a victory. One day, while cleaning a cafe, I overheard two women discussing a scholarship for young entrepreneurs, a program my father's company once sponsored before Clara took it over. Something inside me lit up. I worked harder, saved what I could, borrowed clothes for the interview, and showed up trembling but determined. I told my story. Not the pain, but the purpose. Somehow, they saw me. I won the scholarship. That small chance became my new beginning. I studied business management, took online courses, worked double shifts. Then I started a small online clothing brand, Jasmine Threads, in memory of my mother. It grew slowly, but it grew honestly. Customers loved it, and within 2 years, I had a thriving business. I wasn't the poor, helpless girl anymore. I was independent. I had rebuilt myself from dust. I looked at my reflection one night and whispered, "You wanted me gone, but all you did was make me unstoppable." 2 years later, I received an email that would change everything. It was from my father's old lawyer, Mr. Howard. The subject line read, "Regarding your father's last will." He said he had discovered something that was hidden from me. When I met him, he looked older, his hands trembling as he handed me a sealed envelope. Inside was a letter written in my father's handwriting. "My dear daughter," it said, "if you're reading this, it means I couldn't protect you. I trusted the wrong people, but everything that's mine will always be yours. The company, the estate, it all belongs to you. The proof is hidden in the old library safe behind your mother's portrait." My eyes filled with tears. My father had tried to protect me, even in death. Clara had known. She'd buried not only my rights, but his truth. Mr. Howard confirmed it. She forged documents, manipulated signatures, and rewrote legal papers after my father's death. The rage inside me turned to focus. That night, I returned to my old house. When the maid saw me, she gasped. "Tell your mistress," I said calmly, "that the worthless girl she threw out is back." Clara appeared at the staircase, elegant as ever, but visibly shaken. I placed my father's letter and documents on the table. "Finishing what my father started," I said. Her hands trembled as she opened them. She tried to deny it, but for once her voice lacked power. "This can't be real," Ryan muttered, pale and lost. "It's real," I replied. "Every signature, every lie." The empire they built on deceit began to crumble. Within days, the truth spread. My father's company legally belonged to me. But inside his study, behind that portrait, I found something else. A stack of letters addressed to someone named Eleanor. My heart stopped. The first line read, "If she ever finds out the truth about her birth, protect her from Clara. She must never know until the right time." I read that sentence again and again until my hands shook. Not Clara's daughter? My entire life flashed before my eyes. Hidden inside the safe was a photograph, my father standing beside a woman I didn't recognize. On the back were the words, "Eleanor and our daughter, my everything." My chest tightened. Eleanor wasn't just someone he trusted, she was my real mother. The woman I had mourned wasn't the one who gave birth to me, but she had raised me with love, and that love was still real. Clara must have known, and that's why she hated me. I was a living reminder of the woman my father truly loved. I searched for Eleanor and found an old address by the sea. When I finally met her, her eyes filled with tears the moment she saw me. She said, "He kept you safe. He promised he would." She told me everything. How Clara had threatened to ruin my father's business unless he married her, how she forced him to hide me to protect me. For the first time, the pieces made sense. My pain had a purpose, my father's silence had meaning, and my real mother's love had never vanished. Before I left, Eleanor said, "Don't let anger consume you. You've already won by becoming everything they said you couldn't be. Let the truth speak for itself." I returned to the city, carrying not revenge, but peace and the truth. The time for silence was over. With Mr. Howard's help, I gathered every piece of evidence, every forged paper, and every recording that proved Clara's deceit. Then I called for a board meeting. Cameras filled the lobby, reporters waited, and Clara arrived pretending nothing was wrong. When she saw me, she smirked. "Still chasing what isn't yours?" she said. I placed the folder on the table and looked straight at her. "No," I said. "I'm here to reclaim what you stole." One by one, I laid down the evidence, the real will, the forged signatures, the letters, and a voice recording where she confessed to manipulating my father's estate. The room went silent. The board members exchanged shocked looks. Clara's confidence cracked. "You forged my father's love," I said, "and you tried to erase his child. But lies have a way of finding daylight." She shouted, "You don't know what I sacrificed." I stepped closer and whispered, "You didn't sacrifice. You stole." Ryan turned pale. "Is this true?" he asked her. She tried to explain, but her words were empty. The board voted to remove her that very hour. Reporters swarmed outside, capturing every second. As I walked out of the building, flashes went off. Voices shouted my name, but all I heard was silence, the peaceful kind. I had done it. I had cleared my father's name, reclaimed my truth, and finally, I wasn't the broken girl anymore.